Hello, housemates, and welcome to Planescape Torment. This is a game series that I'm starting up anew on the River Lethe. Planescape Torment is a famous RPG in the general Dungeons & Dragons setting. So Planescape Torment is its own world or take on the Dungeons & Dragons universe, originally created by Monte Cook, I believe. This game is a classic. I've played it many times before, and I haven't played it in years though, so I am really happy to revisit it. It has an incredibly rich and interesting story. It has a D&D, 2nd edition D&D combat system, but it sort of is the best iteration of that combat system in a computer game engine. It has some of the irritations, but not many, and it has all of the old school charm for those of you who are familiar at all with D&D. So we're going to start a new life. This is going to be an episode 0, a character creation guide. It shouldn't be too long. The character creation process is relatively simple, but it will be a freestanding video nonetheless. And I'll also adjust the sound a bit more after we get into the first episode. I know that you can hear me well enough. I'm just going to talk pretty loud as we go through the character creation process. So our options here in the menu are the Abyss, which is the outside world outside of the game. You can resume life, which would only be a viable option if we'd started the game, and new life. So for those of you not familiar with the general D&D or the D20 type system, you generally have a series of stats. You roll 20s, you add bonuses to those rolls on the basis of particular skill checks or attributes and so forth. And as usual, we have a 6 attribute system, 3 roughly speaking physical attributes and 3 roughly speaking mental attributes. Now, what is incredibly important and interesting about Planescape Torment is the importance of the mental stats. Usually in a game, you can get by just, bashing everything in. You'll get to all parts of the game, and you'll be fine. In this game, there is more of the game than not that you will simply not be able to access unless you have certain threshold of mental statistics. Wisdom is incredibly important. Intelligence is incredibly important. Charisma, a bit less so, but it can also be quite important. Now, wisdom is important for a variety of reasons. Wisdom, the ability score, represents your intuition, common sense, and willpower. A high wisdom helps you recall memories and gives you a bonus to experience points. So that latter thing, for those of you concerned with game mechanics, is the real reason to get wisdom. It gives you bonus XP, which means you power up, you level up faster, you get more abilities, so on and so forth. And that bonus becomes tremendous as your wisdom goes up really high, and as the experience points that you get more and more. I believe it's some kind of percentage basis, and as those of you familiar with especially the D&D version of D20 systems, experience totals can get grotesquely high at the higher levels. Not to mention that because this is a 2nd edition D&D iteration or model, the experience totals are not standardized. They're really weird. They're really large for no apparent reason. So you need bonus experience to leap the huge gaps between one level and the next as you increase in power. From the perspective of someone interested in story like me, the relevant feature is that high wisdom helps you recall memories. There are things which you don't remember at the beginning of the game that happen to you, which you can remember in certain situations if you have enough wisdom. If you don't have enough wisdom, there is no other way to find out that aspect that you're missing. There is no additional way. You can't bash open a box and find a journal or anything like that. You'll just never hear it. And so your game experience will be grossly impoverished. So get lots of wisdom. Intelligence. The ability score represents your memory, reasoning, and deductive skills. A high intelligence helps you regain memories faster and gives you more dialogue options. Also, it aids your mage skills. So once again, for those people interested in stories, intelligence helps you regain memories faster and gives you more dialogue options. and the dialogue is spectacular in this game. So you want to have as many options as possible so that you can learn as many new things, press people in as many ways as possible. And of course, if you wish to focus on being a mage, well, intelligence is good once again. Charisma. This ability score represents your persuasiveness, personal magnetism, and ability to lead. The higher your charisma, the more favorably others will react towards you. So that doesn't give us any specifics there, and that's because it's not as important as the other two. It has just the generic effects that charisma tends to have in these games, not any specific extra effects for this game in particular. Now, one thing to note, which is very interesting, they specifically do not talk about whether or not charisma is your appearance. Often in role-playing games or with role players, they take charisma to be the sort of attractiveness stat. And that's not wrong, it's just slightly misleading. Attractiveness is only fractionally made up by how good you look. This game focuses because, look, you can see your face right there. You are an ugly corpse motherfucker. No one is going to be physically attracted to you. In order to be charismatic, you have to be persuasive. You have to be fun to be around, or you have to be commanding. That is what charisma is. It has little, if nothing, to do with your appearance. And now to the physical stats. Strength. This ability score represents your raw strength. A high strength allows you to carry more weight and makes your melee attacks more accurate and damaging. All standard fare for D20. Dexterity. This ability score represents your agility, reflexes, and hand-eye coordination. A high dexterity makes you harder to hit and aids your thief skills. So, given that this is 2nd edition D&D, the thief skills are really wonky. There is not a general skill system in 2nd edition D&D, as there is in 3 and then 3.5, and I think they got rid of it in 4. I don't remember if it came back in 5. I haven't played 4 and 5 really. But if you were familiar at all with D&D 3 and 3.5, you'll be familiar with the skill system, and that's what is used in all the Neverwinter Nights games and that kind of thing. That does not exist here. Characters who aren't thieves don't really have skills. They have, abilities or spells. What you have as a thief in 2nd edition D&D are percentages. You have percentage skills. I think there are like 6 of them. There's like pickpocket, stealth, scale walls, find traps. I don't remember all of them. We'll see them at some point. But it's not a great system, and even in this game, it's not fully implemented. And so there are some skills which are practically useless. But if you're going to do thieving, then dexterity is what you're going to want a lot of. It gives you like extra percentage points to assign. Finally, Constitution. This ability score represents your physique, hardiness, and state of health. A high Constitution gives you more hit points and, in the Nameless One's case, a faster regeneration rate as well. So, that is a unique aspect to this game, and they explicitly tag it up. You will regenerate faster. You will always regenerate some as the Nameless One, which is your character, but the higher your Constitution, the faster you will regenerate. Now, the way that it usually works in the 2nd edition D&D system is that Constitution just determines your hit point bonus, and it's not until very, very high levels of Constitution, around like 25 or so, that you begin to regenerate. But regeneration is always present to some extent for the Nameless One in this game. So, knowing all about the stats is only helpful if you know about the classes. There is a limited class pool available for the Nameless One in Planescape Torment. You can be a fighter, a thief, or a mage. That's it. Now, this is slightly less of an impoverishment if you're thinking in the context of 2nd edition D&D, where there were not the panoply of classes that appear in 3.5. There's no such thing as a prestige class, but while in 2nd edition D&D there were clerics and rangers and druids, none of those are available to the Nameless One. Now, that being said, the Nameless One can be a fighter, a rogue, and a mage all at the same time. And without having to navigate the really bizarre and obnoxious multi-classing system or dual-classing system that existed in 2nd edition D&D. That's all been done away with here. And there are various reasons that you will want to take so many levels of one and so many levels of the other for gameplay reasons, for story reasons. Beyond that, it will be entirely your choice as to what you want to do. Being a mage is incredibly powerful in this game, so that's advisable. And in addition, if you were a mage, you get an extra benefit from having a high intelligence. So I may focus on being a mage. What fighter gets you for the most part in this game is hit points. And of course, thieving. I love to focus on that kind of thing in basically every role-playing game because I want to open all the doors and the boxes and sneak around and do all that kind of stuff. We'll see what we focus on as time goes on. In addition, there are a number of items which you have to have a certain amount of fighting skill or thieving skill in order to be able to equip at all. Okay, we've said all that. Let's apportion our points. I am going to sort of minimax this a little bit. Because I know how important the mental stats are, I'm going to max out my intelligence and wisdom at the beginning. So you can only go up to 18 in any of these skills by assigning points. You can exceed that level later with various items and bonuses, but for this point in time you can only get up to 18. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure we don't have any particular penalties otherwise. Strength is what I will basically neglect for as much as I can in this game. Now that I have wisdom and intelligence at 18, I don't have to worry about them again, pretty much. You do get bonus points as you go up levels, and you can assign those to stats which are already at 18, but that's something that we won't have to deal with for a long time. So we have 22 hit points. We have 10 armor class. Now remember, this is armor class in the old school D&D sense. We are dealing with THAC0, which means to hit AC 0. Armor class 10 is garbage. We are super easy to hit. Once you get to 0, so armor goes down. Starts from 10 usually and goes down to 0 and then to negative. Negative armor class is super duper good. THAC0 is very confusing. Luckily, we have the computer deal with it for us now. So we've got this going. We've got our character built. We've made him extremely smart. He possesses genius level intelligence. We've made him extremely wise. His wisdom is of heroic proportions. And we've made him averagely hardy, averagely compelling, averagely nimble, and averagely strong. So, that is going to be the extent of this episode, episode 0 of Planescape Torment on the River Lethe. We've gone over character creation. I've told you about all of the statistics, their general meaning in D20 D&D games in general, and their specific meaning in this context in Planescape Torment. Remember, intelligence and wisdom all the way. That is what you need so much of to take advantage of this gameplay experience. Hopefully you found this video helpful and interesting. If you have, please hit that thumbs up button. If you want to see more about Planescape Torment, I will play through it all the way. It's not a blind playthrough, as you will have already gathered from all the talk that I've done, but I will do it all the way. I will do it completely. I will show you everything, as much as I can remember at least. There may be some things that I've forgotten. So if you want to see all that, then please subscribe to my channel. If you're not going to do any of that, well then, I don't care what you do.